Right, hello everyone, and today we're going to be doing a video on Ekitike, but the thing is, some really massive news has dropped right now. Alexander Isak from Newcastle has put in a transfer request. So this video was supposed to be mainly on Ekitike, but now because everything's kind of thrown up in the air, we're going to just see what happens and go with it. But yeah, let's focus on Ekitike first, and then we can go a little bit more into how Isak could maybe fit into this Liverpool squad. So yeah, let's quickly start off with some stuff on Ekitike. As you know, he was a bit of I wouldn't say a flop at PSG. He just didn't really get his chance to shine there at all. He didn't get much game time, and to be honest, that's a main thing of his. He's played less minutes than Kerkez. That's another player that Liverpool bought. Which is a telling thing of why his progression has been small but promising. So yeah, and I think that's another good thing of potentially getting Isak as well. Is Ekitike is young, he can still develop. He's still got a lot of room to develop. Whereas Isak is there for the now. He's going to score the goals. He's going to do everything. Whereas Ekitike might be a little hit and miss, but more hit than miss. But yeah, Isak is more of what you'd want Ekitike to be in the future. But yeah, let's quickly go over some of the Ekitike stuff. So he's only 23. He just turned 23 as well. He's very tall. I think he's probably about 6'4", 6'5", because if you look at Kanate, I think he's about 6'3", and he does look like about an inch or two taller than him. So yeah, he's right-footed, and he's played obviously this season as a striker, but in the past for Rennes in the French league, he did come off the left quite a lot. That was obviously when he was a bit smaller, when he was like probably about 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot-ish, and then his height just grew so massively, so he couldn't really do as much stuff on the wing as much as he would before, because then you kind of almost outgrow that position really. So yeah, like we said, he was at Rennes and then went to PSG, didn't work out too well there. But then went to Frankfurt and it kind of went back together. So to be honest, he has been a very impressive player. One of the kind of lookout, kind of standout wonder kid kind of players that people have wanted. Newcastle were linked with him when they were battling PSG back in the day. And obviously they were linked to him this transfer window as well. They're probably doing a similar thing as Liverpool wanting to do right now, is having Isak and Ekitike play alongside together. I wasn't too sure about it at first, but now I look a little bit more with it, especially within the Liverpool squad rather than the Newcastle squad. I think it fits a lot better, but we'll come back to that. So yeah, let's just see some just general stats on Ekitike and see kind of what are the promising underlying stats about him. So if you come over here and have a look at these non-penalty goals, we'll go through these here, but as you can see on the right hand side, look at Dembele, he's compared to him straight away. And as you know, this season, PSG didn't really play with a centre-forward. They had Gonzalo Ramos, but, he didn't really work too well for them. It wasn't really of Luis Enrique's kind of style. So they went with Dembele as the false nine. So you can tell that Slot is taking a lot of influence from that Enrique PSG side that won quite a few trophies this season, and notably the Champions League. So yeah, it kind of already tells you a lot if you've watched Dembele in that PSG team of what Ekitike is really all about. He's about that linking. He's about pitching in with goals when he can, but it's really about bringing the whole team in together. However, with Isak's introductory signing, we'll have to see how that works. So if you look over here, it's about 0.48 goals per 90. So he's scoring about 1 per 2 games, which is good for his kind of position, given the fact that he's almost like that Firmino role or that Diaz kind of role this season, where they aren't really the out and out scorers, they're more the facilitators, but they will definitely pitch in with goals. So that's something to look at. It's obviously not of an elite scorer, but it's still of a very, very good player. 1 in 2 is pretty good. So yeah, non-penalty goals, that's bumped massively. So that is kind of going into the range of fairly elite, to be honest. That's almost a goal a game, pretty much. As for shots, that's what I kind of like to see in a lot of my strikers and stuff. I like to see a lot of shots and then a lot of shots on target. You might be able to see a little bit lower down. I don't think it's here. But I think he's got about 1.74 on target a game. And he shoots about 3 to 4 times a game, which is okay. It could be a little bit better, but it still is very good. It's very good. Like you can see here, is in the 93rd percentile for shots. And usually whenever it's kind of in that sort of high range, you're looking at good players, because if you're not as good, you're not going to take as many shots. Your confidence will drop. So there's a lot of things to go behind this. And if you look at the assists, he's in the 90th percentile for the position, so I mean it's very good, very, very good. And if you look at some of the clips, just watch any comp, you'll be able to see what kind of player he is. He's always looking to pass first, but if there's a goal to be scored, he'll do it. He'll be in there for tap-ins, and then he'll also be in for some of those slightly longer range shots. Kind of almost how like Mane did in the mainly 1920 season. Those kind of long bending shots from that left channel. So something to look out for. But that's something that we want to see here, that shot creating actions. He's in the 94th percentile, so he's almost the elite of the elite when coming to do that. So as you can see here, there's a lot of statistics that that are very pleasing to the eye, that you'd want to see as a new striker, especially for somebody that's going about 69 to 70 million pound range. It's something you'd like to see. He's getting plenty of passes each game, so he's going to be an involved striker. He's not going to be like, I don't know, let's say maybe a Kerkez, where he's going to kind of go straight at goal rather than getting on the ball, touching the ball, passing it off. He's going to be doing that rather than just kind of back to goal and going straight to it, making runs in behind. So yeah, and this is going to be showing off. So if you look here, the progressive carries, he's in the 96th percentile. On his take-ons, he's 96th percentile as well. His touch is 94%, progressive passes 91. So if you just look at some of these, it's kind of already showing the recipe for a very good dribbler, especially for somebody his size. If you look at him, he's extremely technical, using his long legs to kind of, and I guess like we said before about him at Rem, he was on that wing quite a lot. So him kind of being about that 5'10", 11 kind of height, and then playing on the wing and then growing, is giving him that advantage that maybe some of these other kind of tall strikers don't really have, where it's that technical ability. And if you look at him, he's impressing every game with his dribbling skills. And that's kind of one thing that I was kind of urging Liverpool to do when we bought Nunes. It's kind of looking at these players with good technical ability, with IQ, because those players, you can guarantee almost that their potential is going to rise and they'll reach a good potential. Whereas Nunes, who seems quite rash, he's not too sure of what he's going to do every single decision. 1 minute he might be dinking the ball over, next minute he'll be missing a 1v1 or missing an open goal. So when you've got somebody that's technical, you can see a little bit more into them, that they're a bit more assured on the ball. They've got that intelligence, that composure. So yeah, those are things to really look out for. So yeah, he's doing about about a tackle a match. Nothing that we really need to be too focused on, because it really depends on the system and things like that. But the interceptions are good here. It's something that you'd like to see in a pressing kind of team, especially a counter-pressing team. So yeah, you can see all these stats here, and he's doing very well. He's doing very, very well, and it's stuff that Liverpool are really, they'll be really interested into as to why they bought him, because there's quite a lot of things. So let's kind of get on to a little bit more onto what Liverpool can kind of expect, how Isak might join in on this, and what Liverpool's kind of future formation might look like. So another big thing is his injury record. He's very, very injury free, to be honest. He's rarely missing games. I know obviously he could be slightly skewed because he didn't play as many matches, but throughout his Eintracht Frankfurt career, he's barely been injured, really. You'd expect the small amounts. But yeah, that kind of makes a reason as to why Liverpool might be after Liverpool might be after Isak and Ekitike. They've obviously already bought Ekitike, but why they wanted him as well. Liverpool, obviously, the passing of Jota, he'll obviously take a lot of his minutes this season. And with Diaz playing the 9 last season, along with Nunes, we're obviously phasing out of those kind of players. They're not exactly what Slot wants. And we are kind of future-proofing this team for life after Salah. And getting back onto the injury record. Obviously, Isak gets quite a few more injuries than Ekitike. He's slightly injury-prone, as people like to say. So I think this makes the Ekitike signing even better, because it's like Liverpool can expect the Isak injury without much drop-off, because they'll be able to slot Ekitike in there straight away. But okay, let's go straight into the kind of like the formation as we'd like to see. This was the best one that I saw out of that had been going online and stuff. I wasn't really happy with some of the other ones, but I think this was the one that I had in my mind. Okay, so looking at the team, obviously we'll start with Alisson in the back. And I think another big thing is, if we sign Konate, we really do need to keep hold of him. If not, I like Gehi, but he's more of a third centre-back choice for me. You'd kind of want somebody like a Diomande, or somebody of that kind of ilk, because with this you're going to need a lot of pace and a lot of basically to cover a lot of ground, and nobody's better than that than Konate and Van Dijk. But okay, let's get to it. As we saw last season, Gravenberch played a lot of centre-back, even when, especially when we were losing games, but even when we didn't get a red card, Gravenberch did get Konate got subbed off, and Gravenberch took that centre-back role. So this team, is very adaptable, and Slot's not really afraid to take any of these risks or anything like that. So obviously Gravenberch, he's probably the best in the league for some of the build-up of getting the ball from defence to attack, using his turns and his dribbling ability to, bypass the press and get it off to McAllister, Bradley or Wirtz. And I really like this, because I was thinking the midfield's going to be empty. If you're going to have Wirtz, McAllister, Gravenberch, there's no real room for Szoboszlai. So it's like, how do we make this work? Well, if you look at some of the training videos that Liverpool have been putting out, you can see Bradley is being trained along with the rest of the squad, but in a lot of these matches, he's tucking in. He's getting right in that midfield. He's improving his technical ability, and I have seen that development over the last couple of seasons. So I think the best thing and the most sensible thing will be to play him at right back, but in an inverted role, so you don't lose the balance of that wing length on the right hand side, but then also the midfield. So yeah, obviously Salah might end up being dragged out a little bit more than you'd want, but as we saw last season, his creativity numbers, they're insane, and you'd probably think that Salah might end up pushing towards the latter end of his career, because you can't expect a 34-year-old or 33 or however old he is now to be doing those long bursting runs in behind. It's going to drop off. So to prepare that, you get Isak, you get Ekitike that can do those things. Obviously not as much as Ekitike, not as much. You'd probably want a winger one of these days. But yeah, it's to shift that balance a little bit more. So you still have Salah with the width, and why can Ekitike and Isak work together? So this has been really great planning from Richard Hughes, Edwards, Slot, because why? The kind of left back they wanted wasn't a Yorel Hato style or a Lukeba. They didn't want a centre back at left back that some of these teams like Arsenal and whoever else, Man City mainly, do. And I've never really liked it. I've never liked fullbacks basically being centre backs. I've hated that, to be honest. I felt like that's for if you need to survive in the Premier League rather than putting on a bit of a show. So yeah, Kerkez, if you've watched him play, he's practically a winger at fullback. He can obviously do his defensive duties solidly, but the way he moves on that left flank, you almost don't need another left winger in this system. You could put in for another Isak then. So I think that will offset the Ekitike playing on the left wing. You don't want him to do too many winger-like kind of roles. You kind of want him to be playing in that pocket of, or shall I say, that triangle of Wirtz, Isak, and himself, of course. linking those players together. Once you get like some of these better players linking together, that's what ends up being the best. And I think that was the only way that PSG could have played. If you look at them back when they had Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, the only way to really play them was to get them close together, play them off against each other. So I think we're obviously creating something similar. Obviously, hopefully it ends up better than whatever they did, because we're following the more PSG kind of style of the newer age of the last season. So I think Kerkez is really the main one that's to highlight here. He's able to get up and down, and I think he'll be able to cover that winger influence that we kind of need in this squad. And then worst case scenario, you bring on Frimpong as well for Bradley, or if you want to move Salah in, take Ekitike off, put Frimpong on that wing, get Isak up. So the thing is, when you get plays like this, it's practically, you're not gonna hurt at all. And I think we will create a diamond-like midfield with Bradley inverting. So yeah, those are my quick thoughts. Isak is obviously, if we do get him, it's going to be a massive signing. The thing with him, you'd almost think that him and Ekitike are the same or similar players. But I think with Isak, you've got a bit more of a bite on him. You can expect him to push in behind the centre-backs and go in for the goals. And I think, just with a little bit of coaching, I think that's what Slot's going to want from a player like Isak. He's got great ball striking. His goals are very good as well. Different variety of goals. Obviously, his heading is not as good as you'd want, but, he scored that one against Arsenal, so it's definitely something that he possesses. So, yeah, that's my quick thoughts. It'll be very, very interesting to see what Slot and Liverpool do this summer. For the rest of the transfer window, if they do get Isak, will we be selling players? Will we still get another centre-back or another winger? It'll be very interesting, and I wonder if they'll bring up Rio from the academy. So yeah, lots of things to think about. Hopefully you guys got a bit of an idea of Ekitike and how he'll play, and how Liverpool might play with Ekitike and Isak. Thanks a lot, guys. See ya.